I've always wanted psychic powers. And because you had them, I'd always admired you, brother. Really? You're making me blush. But that was just a big misunderstanding. It was? I couldn't handle my inferiority complex and fear towards you. So I was protecting myself by thinking it was simply admiration. More than anything, I was scared of you.
Yo, welcome back to the channel, House Fam. It's your boy Jay, back with another Mob Psycho 100 video for y'all. Today, we're breaking down how Ritsu almost became Mob's greatest villain. And as always, make sure to drop a like and subscribe and turn them alerts and notifications on for more amazing content from the House of Animation. Also, follow us on TikTok if you want to see more clips. But first, let's drop that intro. For anyone with siblings, close friends, or relatives, there's always that one unforgettable moment. Sometimes it's a blast of laughter, and other times it's a slap of regret. For Mob and Ritsu from Mob Psycho 100, it was the latter, straight up all bad news bears. We meet Mob, the underdog protagonist with godlike psychic abilities, yet he is as unassuming as they come, and also appears weak, unconfident, and overshadowed by his younger brother, Ritsu, who, on the other hand, is the golden boy, successful, popular, smooth with the ladies, and academically gifted. But behind that shiny exterior, Ritsu was a boiling pot of jealousy, coveting Mob's godly psychic powers. Before we dive into the near catastrophe of Ritsu almost becoming Mob's greatest villain, let's rewind to the incident that sparked it all. A summer day from their childhood that would forever tilt the scales of their brotherly bond. It was a nasty mix of fear, jealousy, and the fragile nature of brotherhood. When getting pressed by bullies, Mob as a protective older brother stepped up, but things went south when he lost control of his powers just a bit, and Ritsu got caught in the crossfire. After washing Teru, almost putting a whole class on a tee, and destroying a high school in the present day, Mob's tears weren't for the chaos he caused, but for his inability to control his powers. This incident haunted him, triggering memories of their childhood, and leading to apologies to Ritsu, although the full extent of the harm caused remained unclear to him. But deep down, Ritsu knew the truth, that Mob's unleashed powers had transformed him into a demon, leaving Ritsu terrified yet conflicted, for the one he feared was still his brother. This fear turned Mob into a walking pressure cooker, bottling up his emotions to keep his powers in check. If you would like to know more about my boy Mob, aka Shigeo Kageyama, hit that link right above. You won't want to miss it. Meanwhile, Ritsu's envy was simmering on the back burner, fueling his obsession to unlock powers like his brothers. Their paths veered in opposite directions. Mob retreated into his shell, scared of his own power, while Ritsu plunged into the shadows, seeking power by any means necessary, with both brothers hiding their true selves in plain sight. As Ritsu's thirst for power grew, all hidden under the facade of a loving brother, he ended up doing things like impersonating his brother to join a psychic awakening lab, hoping to unlock the powers he tried so hard for years to achieve, being part of a shiesty plot to clean up his school by spreading lies and framing other classmates. He even struck a deal with the devil, or rather Dimple, a former high-ranking evil spirit, hoping to bring out the full yield of the newly awakened Esper, descending Ritsu into darkness fueled by his guilt and corruption. Drunk off power, his shiesty ways and karma finally caught up to him, and he crossed paths with Claw, an evil organization seeking to harness psychic abilities. Despite Mob's attempt to steer him away from the destructive path, Ritsu's negative emotions ultimately drove him to clash with his brother. Their confrontation, though tumultuous, revealed deep-seated emotions and truths long suppressed, with Ritsu revealing he played the role of the good brother, being fearful that a simple argument would get him clapped up or worse. But in reality, it was all in Ritsu's head, because by suppressing his emotions, it caused him to develop an inferiority complex, constantly comparing himself to his brother, who rarely relied on his powers unless he needed to, fearing the consequences, asking himself that even though he was everything Mob wasn't, why why wasn't he as blessed in the same way? While Mob, who didn't need to use his powers to see his brother, was fiending for the power. Instead, he had a genuine reaction. He was happy to see his brother win. After Ritsu received a well-deserved ass whooping from a Scar, a high-ranking member of Claw, Mob stepped in to protect his little brother. Despite all that Ritsu had done, it didn't matter. Ritsu was the one person Mob admired the most. Initially reluctant to use his powers, Mob was confronted with two examples of how power could lead one astray. Ritsu stepped in to stop it, and dog, what an amazingly animated fight, one of the best in the series hands down, with Mob exploding into 100% rage, going all out and nearly defeating the Scar until the Scar used a dirty trick, kidnapping Ritsu and leaving the scene. This led Mob and his friends to infiltrate Claw's division HQ to get it back in blood, with Mob single-handedly wiping out most of the upper ranks. Upon finding the unconscious Ritsu and being placed into a genjutsu that showed Ritsu's death, Mob's powers exploded, incapacitating him and another Scar. When Mob awoke in the power dampening room, he was relieved to see his brother. As Ritsu came to his senses and realized he was tripping, and high-key, this was mostly his fault, Mob's greatest power was revealed. Not his godly psychic abilities, but his ability to see the good in people. With Ritsu concerned for Mob's well-being, Mob beat him to the punch and hugged his brother. Even though Mob was the strongest person in the building, he praised Ritsu, not worrying about getting out the room, saying that he could figure out anything because he always was the smart one, even without powers, showing just how proud he was of Ritsu. This allowed Ritsu to forgive himself and show him that Mob would never intentionally hurt him, thus restoring their brotherly bond. The story of Mob vs. Ritsu is a great exploration of the dangers of harboring an inferiority complex. As the brothers each excelled in different domains, they became mirrors of each other's insecurities. Mob, even with his extraordinary psychic abilities, felt stunted by Ritsu's academic achievements, social status, and popularity. On the other hand, Ritsu's envy of Mob's powers ate at him, leading him to believe that all of his own accomplishments weren't shit in comparison to the godly power that Mob had, who didn't even seem to want them. This toxic cycle of comparison and envy highlighted the danger of measuring one's worth against the abilities of others, a path that often leads to self-doubt and a diminished sense of self-worth. One who created both Mob Psycho 100 and One Punch Man does a great ass job in avoiding the classic cliche where siblings envious of each other's powers or status become arch enemies. Instead of turning against each other, Mob and Ritsu's journey is one of mutual growth and understanding. They had an issue after a major buildup of emotions and conversations that were never had. After an explosion of emotions, they were able to become closer than ever, and I personally can relate to that. I've had some of the same people in my life who I consider as brothers since diapers. We've had those moments of suppressed emotions and brief falling outs, but after getting everything off our chest, we would always realize that our brotherhood always meant way more. This subplot emphasized the importance of self-acceptance and the recognition that each individual unique qualities contribute to who they are as a whole. It is a testament to the idea that the true measure of a person lies not in comparison with others, but their own intrinsic values and efforts. In the world of fiction and beyond, we've seen the trope of envy driving a wedge between siblings time and time and again. From the jealousy of Loki and his resentment towards Thor in the MCU to the rivalry between Elsa and Anna in Frozen, where Elsa's powers set her apart, leading to isolation and misunderstanding. In these stories, envy and the feeling of inferiority often lead to dire consequences. However, Mob Psycho 100 subverts this expectation by showing the path to villainy is not always a foregone conclusion. Through empathy, communication, and a deep-seated familiar bond, Mob and Ritsu overcame the pitfalls of jealousy and inferiority, setting an example that the true enemy is often within ourselves. And through love and understanding, such inner conflicts can be resolved. Thank you, House fan, for stopping by the channel. We here at the House of Animation are dedicated to bringing you guys the best content we can. And we put a lot of hard work into these videos, so it would mean a lot if you could mash the like and subscribe button and make sure to turn them noties and alerts on to make sure you do not miss out on our videos. videos. Also, make sure to drop a comment down below to let us know if you agree with this breakdown or what else you would like us to explore on this channel. And well, with that, house fam, you already know what it is, baby. Gotta blast.